Then we go to our main event here. For the World Championship, it is Rhea Ripley versus IYO Sky. Their first match together since NXT in 2020. Rhea has never beaten IYO Sky. And we've got Bianca Belair watching ringside. I thought things started off very messy here. You know, these two, IYO going for a crucifix, and then maybe not being in the best of positions. IYO then goes for a Rana. Rhea catches her, but loses her balance and falls over. After a commercial break, Rhea starts favoring her hand and her wrist. Or actually, during her commercial break, she was favoring her hand and her wrist. They fight on the apron as IYO arm drags Rhea onto the apron, again targeting the arm. IYO does a Dakota Kai corner kick. Then she does the insane elbow, followed by the ass lock. So all Damage Control members getting a little shout out here. Rhea Ripley is on the apron as IYO sunset flips her into a buckle bomb onto the barricade. Over the moonsault is delivered to Rhea's back, but Rhea gets her foot on the rope. Rhea then electric chairs IYO onto the desk and tries to win by countout. As IYO makes it back into the ring, Belair is cheering for her, and this somehow angers Rhea to the point where she exits the ring, shoves Bianca Belair for suggesting that maybe she doesn't want to face her at WrestleMania, and they start shoving each other. Belair puts her hands on Rhea, but the referee keeps the match going, which is, sort of a slightly unusual to see in modern professional wrestling, somebody putting their hands on somebody else in front of the ref, but ref deciding not to call it. Then Rhea hoists IYO up onto the second rope for a riptide. She almost loses her, but regains her and says to Belair on the outside, "See you at Mania, Bianca." As IYO counters her with a Rana over the moonsault, IYO Sky wins the Women's World Championship as we get a title change here on Raw. The show goes off air with Rhea yelling at herself on the outside, calling herself stupid, calling Bianca a bitch. So we got a title change here, Davey. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't think it was the smoothest match between the two. I think both are capable of a lot better. I think we've seen better from both. From a storyline point of view, I like it. I like IYO a lot, and this was one of the matches for Mania where I do see it being a triple threat. I've thought that for a while. I saw it being more the direction where IYO's kind of maybe screwed out with winning and therefore gets inserted. I didn't see a title change happening tonight, and I kind of liked that. That being said, I think Rhea versus Bianca is such a huge match you can do, and they've been kept apart for their entire main event run. I think there was a Raw after Mania 2 years ago where they kind of, I think both were champions and they stood face to face and had that moment. And to have that be, not, I assume it's a triple threat. Like I assume Rhea is involved in this program. I don't necessarily see it being IYO versus Bianca. I do think it's a triple threat. I do think it makes it less than. But it's one of those problems when you've got all these talents. Like I think IYO should be in a big match as well. Like she was in the women's title match against Bayley last year. So it's difficult. It does feel like the lesser match. As an IYO Sky fan, I was happy to see a win, but I just think I feel, and I felt this has been the case for many years with, especially WrestleMania, where the women's matches, it will be good. It will be great on the night. Like I think back to Sasha Bianca Belair, which was a fucking terrible build. And it's one of my favorite WrestleMania matches and moments. Like that match, I adore. And I kind of feel we're going the same way this time, where I just think Bianca versus Rhea, just do it. So yeah. I feel conflicted because I like all three. I want to see all three at WrestleMania in a big match. But yeah, I don't necessarily like this.
Yeah, I thought I'd kind of like maybe an interesting like direction already mapped out, especially with like the Bianca Belair potential attachment to Jade Cargill and Naomi storyline, like kind of potentially cleanly making Belair a heel. Now you're throwing IYO Sky into the mix, potentially with Rhea Ripley as well, and it's certainly hard for me to predict. That doesn't mean it's bad. I just can't really tell where it's going from this point on, and we await to see, exactly how it might unfold. but this certainly maybe certainly maybe muddies the feud. But again, we haven't really seen the storytelling. We haven't seen how they're going to maybe heat things up between. We're assuming three-way. That might not even be possible too. So this is certainly like a bit of a curveball. Going back to the match itself, I thought it was a bit of a rough night for Rhea, to the point where like I'm wondering if like at some point she got hurt, because this didn't really look like her in many spots. But I kind of like the booking here. You know, for one thing, it's a surprise, which I think, you know, when done right, is always good. It also maintains the streak of IYO beating Bianca Belair. That's something that they are keeping up, and will potentially maybe make that the one person that Rhea Ripley will never be able to beat, which I think is really cool. But yeah, we wait to see like how this unfolds, whether or not a Jade Cargill and Naomi will somehow be folded into this. And I was a little bit surprised at like Rhea being so heelish here towards the end. Like her just suddenly dropping the match to yell at Bianca Belair for what, supporting IYO SKY, feels very uncharacteristic and feels a lot more heelish to me. Even her actions at the like pausing at the end as she's about to do the riptide to yell at Bianca Belair felt uncharacteristic. Her being on the floor sort of complaining, whining, calling herself stupid does not also feel like the Rhea Ripley that we've been seeing lately.
No, and it was, yeah, it felt uncharacteristic. And I guess a way to protect her in this loss against IYO.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.